Over to you, Roland.
Thank you very much, Bindo, and good afternoon. I'm pleased to having been invited to this very interesting webinar hosted by TSTSI and CDOT. And in my talk, I will give you, as stated, a high-level status of the oneM2M European smart cities. I will start with some European smart city projects, point to them, some of which have been already presented in the past and you might know them. And then I will focus on one European Union project, My Smart Life. And here I focus on the city of Hamburg, where I elaborate design considerations and why oneM2M has been chosen to implement these urban data platform in Hamburg. And in general, also describe a strategy for cities to apply a multi-standard framework for managing all these sensors and data associated with different smart city services. Within the presentation, if you get the presentation, so you find links and references to more detailed information for all of the showcases and cities. And if there are any additional questions, please don't hesitate to contact me via email, and we can dig deeper into the topics. The next slide, please. This slide shows the deployment map, which you can find on the recently launched oneM2M website. And I highlighted a few of the cities as said. So on the left corner, top corner, this is the reference to the One Transport data marketplace, which was initially a pre-commercial pilot, which led to commercial launch and expansion in regional systems. You know that it's a customer-led use cases, for example, the Oxford City Centre Park and Ride, Watford Town Centre, and Silverstone Facility Management. So you find more details when following that. This is in deployment made in UK by Cordant. On the lower part, you see the reference to the Bordeaux smart city deployment, which features use cases like smart parking, smart lighting, smart buildings, and these built over a LoRa network, and where PilotThings, one of the partners of the deployment, deploys the oneM2M based solution. On the right bottom corner, you the reference to pilots and deployments in Italy based on Teams Icon platform. And here you see also the reference and more detailed description. There's also the reference to several of these cities in Italy that even either have a pilot based on oneM2M or the deployments. But coming to the fourth one, it's the right up top corner, the My Smart Life, which is an European project. And the next slide, please. On this slide, My Smart Life, what is My Smart Life? Is an European Union funded Horizon 2020 project involving cities of Nantes, Hamburg, and Helsinki. And the aim of the project, this is the high-level vision, is to make these cities more environmentally friendly by reducing the carbon dioxide emissions and increase the use of renewable energy sources. The activities are focusing on the so-called inclusive cities, offering a high quality of life to residents, where smart people are playing a vital role in their city's development. And the smart economy, another term, is an innovative and dynamic economic concept aiming at guaranteed employment and adequate income, attracting talents, providing goods and services according to actual requirements. And these interventions planned and carried out in these three lighthouse cities also include innovative technological solutions in connection with, for example, refurbishment of buildings, usage of renewable energies, clean transport, and not last but not least, the support of ICT solutions. And in the following, I will focus on the project with the city of Hamburg. So the next slide, please. Having said that, start again with the vision and the goal that Hamburg would like to achieve. Since Hamburg operates under a transparency law that requires all data from public sources to be published. This covers static data, such as opening time of schools or museums or whatever you can see there, as well as live data, such as operational status of, for instance, electric vehicles, charging stations that's mentioned here. You see some examples in the city control panel, and also the photovoltaic power generation and weather forecasts, a map of availability of such charging stations and charging station status. This is some examples. The objective of the project is to gather a broad spectrum of data from many different sources in the city. And the goal in the project was also to develop an infrastructure to gather and publish data for third-party firms to use, for instance, in these data in analytics or service applications, as some examples are shown here. So this was the major goal. If we get to the next slide, I will get a bit deeper. So such infrastructure, as it was mentioned before, as the open urban platform, is part of a smart city ecosystem. If you kind of see these in a very abstract way. The architecture of such a smart city platform, or in more generic terms, as this was also mentioned before, in principle, a distributed Internet of Things system, depends also on several design considerations. One is the ability to combine legacy subsystems, all systems that are already existing in a city, and combine them with greenfield deployments. Examples are analytics, applications, etc., etc. Another design consideration relates to the challenge of combining multiple connectivity and data management technologies, and added with that is the complication that these are sourced from multiple vendors. So as I said before, the transparency law and the availability of all data from public sources to be published. Another major requirement from Hamburg was also that openness is important and also relates to vendor independent deployments, avoiding any vendor login. So this points to two approaches that they took. One is use open source as much as possible and also rely on stable standards. The cities platform in case of Hamburg is based on a standard developed by the Open Geospatial Consortium, which is a starting point for many cities. This standard supports geolocation, surface planning, and activities which municipal agencies deal with on a day-to-day basis. This is the data where the city starts from. On the next slide, I'll point to the solution that was which started the work there, and I would like to start with a quote from a colleague of mine, from Ingo Friese, who was the chief developing colleague for this project, and he said that the team focused on applied innovation. So it was looking for a standardized architecture rather than developing something one-off or new. So reuse, and you have to deal with the existing infrastructure. So why, in addition to this OGC, this Open Geospatial Consortium standard, they selected oneM2M. The reason was that the oneM2M architecture and common service framework met also their developing requirements. It also meant that one only need to implement a subset of oneM2M's common services that handled, in that case, connectivity and data management requirements, and with the possibility to enhance, if there will come new requirements, new capabilities in future, to enhance this platform later on. So if new requirements arise in the future, then oneM2M's blueprint provides a framework that can incorporate new capabilities in a coherent manner. Deutsche Telekom developed together with partners a data management platform. As you can see here, this is this here shown as CSE, the common service entity in oneM2M terms, to gather data from sources and to publish it to third-party users. Combining the two means the left side with the all the data coming from this SensorThing API server, where you have all the existing backends connected with, and via this interworking proxy entity provide the data towards these oneM2M part, and here exposing these via oneM2M interfaces to applications. These arrangements also gather city data from many different sources and can combine them with primarily geospatial data from Hamburg's in-house data platform, which is based on this OGC part. So the work with Hamburg and this Open Geospatial Consortium standard demonstrated the importance of interworking between different environments. As a result of the project, there was also a new work item created in oneM2M, and which defines the formal interworking of both oneM2M and the OGC SensorThings API standards. So this you can follow here. Are the details are in the listed here, the work item and the actual standard and the activity. So bridging OGC SensorThing API and oneM2M standard was a main value add for Hamburg. On the next slide, and this is the final slide, I would like to summarize that one of the conclusions that was reached from the Hamburg project is that in the IoT market and in smart city deployments, there will not be a single dominant standard. Each city will also build its systems from a different starting point. Many will start from maybe their OGC systems, at least in Europe it seems so, because of their legacy systems, which are designed for charting areas and properties. It might well be, as I said, that the STA, this SensorThings API, will be used in large deployments in several European cities, similar as in Hamburg. But as the scope of data sources grows over time, however, there will be a need for interworking across heterogeneous architectures to connect elements using different standards in future, also smart city infrastructures. So lessons learned, I would say, for city IT departments, smart city service providers, and system integrators to plan for interoperable and extensible architectures. And so the experience with oneM2M showed that it's possible to begin with a very focused deployment that uses some basic infrastructure and a few elements from the standard for connectivity and data sourcing. And later on, cities are able to add connectors to bring in data from new devices or oneM2M functions that implement access and privacy policies, for example. And interworking capabilities are also important to create bridges for data sharing across application domains, which most likely use a variety of standards. And as you can see here, it depicts the current status. And on the right side, the additional back-end systems where it's called various, it's open to be enhanced for different additional technologies even. And as you will hear also later, in the specificity of oneM2M is that it abstracts all these technologies, and that the application on top is has only to support the simplified oneM2M API and hides all the complexity underneath. So this is where the strength of oneM2M was, and the value add of oneM2M was also seen in these smart city deployment in Hamburg, where they could integrate all the existing systems. So summarizing, the urban data core as it is now, based on oneM2M specification, acts as a bridge and implements and allows to increase and improve the services on top. So with that, I'd like to stop here. Thank you very much for your interest. And as I said, please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any further questions, or visit the oneM2M website, which provides also a lot more of information. And as I said, you can also find some of these deployment information on the website. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Roland.